Hi, Analisa Six here with the Lady of Leisure and the Sober Curator to bring you the Libra 2024 horoscope for the month of April for both Sun and Rising placements. Hi, I'm Analisa. If you're new here, I'm an astrologer and tarot reader, musician, and I do horoscopes every month with a lens through recovery. Sometimes sobriety comes up, sometimes it doesn't. I intuitively do these readings. And you can find me on those websites that I mentioned. I'll also put the links in the description box. I also am accepting new tarot and astrology clients. So if you want to book a one-on-one session with me, you can email me at the email in the description box as well. All right, it's April 1st today. April Fool's Day starts out with a bang. We have a Mercury retrograde happening in Aries at 27 degrees. And it's interesting because for you, Libra, Aries is your opposite. So in astrology, if you're new to astrology or you're an astrology baby, all the signs have an opposite sign that is their polarity. And so Libra, your opposite is Aries. So Libra is the cardinal air sign and Aries is the cardinal fire sign. Aries rules the identity, the self, the will, how we assert ourselves, how we confront things. It rules the first house of identity and relationship to self. It's very independent. It's very self-focused, self-motivated, driven, self-driven. You know, what drives Aries is this is me, this is who I am, this is how I want to go after, the things that I want to go after, all of that kind of stuff. Libra rules the seventh house in astrology, which is the of course, I'm getting interrupted by a call. Libra rules the seventh house, that is the house that rules relationships. So it's the opposite of Aries. Libra is all about how we respond to others, partnership, what's fair for both people. You know, Aries is more what do I want? Who am I? Libra is more who are you? What do you want? How can I relate and connect with you? Libra tends to be more passive and responsive, relational. That can cause Libra to be very indecisive at times and, you know, kind of defer to other people to make decisions because you don't want to make the wrong decision, things like that. I know a lot of Libra dominant people who are not indecisive and who are very direct and active and share a lot of the traits that I talked about with Aries. And it's just important to know that just because you're a Libra doesn't mean that you're indecisive or passive. Your entire birth chart makes up who you are. So if you're a very direct, decisive Libra, chances are you have stuff in your chart that makes you more that way. So again, like Libra as an archetype on its own is those things. So basically, what does this Mercury retrograde mean for you? Well, in the horoscope, all of the Aries energy that we have going on in the sky right now, which is a lot, we've got the sun in Aries, we have Chiron in Aries, the North Node in Aries, and Mercury in Aries. All of this energy is hitting in the chart in the area that actually rules relationships for you. It's the area that Libra traditionally rules, but it's flipped in the horoscope. So the seventh house is where all of that Aries energy is. The thing that Libra dominant people often have to learn in life is how to be confrontational in constructive ways. I think that an immature or unevolved or uneducated perspective of confrontation is that confrontation means conflict, or confrontation means a fight, or confrontation could be, you know, challenging. It doesn't always have to be a fight or a conflict or challenging. Confrontation could be as simple as, hey, will you turn the lights off when you leave the house today? You're confronting something that needs to happen. The way that you say that to somebody can dictate whether or not it goes south, right? And so Libra, I think, has to learn a lot of times not to be passive aggressive, because passive aggressive isn't healthy confrontation. Aries has to learn a lot of times how to be confrontational without being aggressive, just in general, you know. There's balance, you know, and Libra likes balance. There's always a middle. And the way that we interpret things is different depending on our filters, right? So one person might take confrontation that somebody says in a very negative way, while another person might not. I know for me, context is everything. Like, if I'm working at a job and I'm an employee and somebody tells me what to do and they're above me at the job, the way I interpret that is so different than if somebody I'm friends with or in a relationship with tells me what to do in that same tone, because then it feels inappropriate because we're peers. So I think context is everything. Um, you're learning that during this Mercury retrograde in terms of where it's hitting in the chart. So how do you confront problems in a constructive way without it blowing up? You know, how do you avoid being passive aggressive? How do you avoid being aggressive? What are ways that you can have healthy conflict? You know, I think that when you're having a conversation with somebody and maybe it does get really tense or really heated, but you're at least confronting the issue and then finding solutions, it may be hard in the moment, but if you get to a healthy resolution at the end of it, where both people have made a compromise or an agreement on how to move forward, I think that's really healthy. It may not feel fun to confront or go through it, but at least things aren't being swept under the rug and you're, you know, working through all of that stuff. So, you know, it's a time this whole month in April for all of us to be reflecting on that, having Mercury retrograde in Aries. Those are things that just come up for all of us. But I think that you know, the way that it's happening for Libra really does have to do with partnership and relationship. Some of the other energy that we have starting out the month, in April is that we have a lot of Pisces energy in the sky still. We have Venus still at the later degrees of Pisces. She's finishing up her stint in Pisces. And then we have Mars in Pisces for the entire month of April. And Saturn and Neptune have already been in Pisces, but they're still there. So the area of the horoscope that's hitting for Libra is the area that has to do, it's the area that Virgo traditionally rules, and it's the sixth house. So it has to do with our daily routines, how we're of service and the work that we're doing in the world. It also rules our health. And so this is a time that's really important for you to reflect on your health, how you're taking care of yourself on a day-to-day basis. And this can be physical health, spiritual health, mental health, and then also energy expenditure in the work that you're doing. So are you putting your energy into your work in a constructive way? What is your work-life balance and your relationship to that? Having Mars here, Mars and Saturn, when they're passing through the house of health, can bring up some health problems. In Pisces, usually there is some kind of energetic component in the spiritual sense and the emotional sense that's contributing to your health. So, you know, my question would be, are there things or people or environments that are promoting a lot of anxiety or stress potentially that's affecting your health negatively? If that's the case, what can you do to kind of, you know, work through regulating your nervous system or your emotions or cleansing some of that energy out? I have a Pisces moon, and what happens for me a lot of times when I'm in environments that are really emotionally draining or intense on my nervous system is it does affect my health really negatively. And it's, if I'm constantly in that environment, it affects my work. Like I can't be of service. And so for me, I have to be really protective over environments, you know, because of how my body regulates that. And I also have to do a lot of energetic cleansing in my space. You know, if I'm out in the world and I've absorbed other people's feelings, I have to do a lot of energetic cleansing. And I think with Libra, you are so relational and so connected to wanting to be social, or, you know, if you're not a social Libra, you know, you might have partnership dynamics that are really codependent at times. And it can be really healthy for you to get more comfortable and confident spending time alone and cleansing that energy out. And you might be a Libra that loves, you know, having a lot of alone time. Maybe you're already that way, and you might be that way because you're protecting your energy from other people, and it's good for you to kind of get that space. And so, you know, this month you're kind of balancing those things out a lot. Let's see here. We have on April 8th, the solar eclipse in Aries that's happening at 19 degrees of Aries. So again, this area of the chart that rules relationships, partnerships is going to be highlighted for you. And solar eclipses, it's when the new moon happens on the ecliptic, and you're going to experience some kind of breakthrough or change when it comes to partnership or relationship. So that could mean many things. Like there could be this huge buildup of something that you've been needing to express. We're talking about healthy confrontation. This might be the time around April 8th where it's time to talk about it. It's time to confront it. It's time to work it out. The relationship that this is kind of happening in, it could be make or break time. You might be over it, ready to move on, ready to let it go. This could also be a time where, maybe there's just an issue that you need to really work out, and it's time for the relationship to kind of have some plan on how you guys are going to change that moving forward. So it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to break up with somebody, but it could mean that. But if you're not breaking up with somebody, it probably means that whatever your partnership you're going through, there's just massive change happening, and the conversations and kind of the boiling point that kind of gets reached is supposed to kind of, I don't know why I keep saying kind of, it's supposed to be a catalyst towards, this new chapter, because we're going to have this eclipse season in this area of the chart for you for the whole year. So relationships are changing in a certain way that is different from the past for you. And a lot of it has to do with healthy conflict and confrontation. We enter Taurus season on April 19th. And so the sun is going to be moving out of the area of partnership in the 7th house, but it is going to be entering the area that still has to do somewhat with partnership, the 8th house, which is the house that rules marriage, sex. It also rules death and rebirth, scorpionic themes. And then we also have assets here and shared resources. So institutions, banks, taxes, all of those things are a theme. And then the occult is a theme here. So when the sun comes here, it's shining a light on all of these themes, and there's a lot of energy that's being brought into this area of the chart. Shortly after we have the sun moving into Taurus, we're going to have Mercury stationing direct on the 25th at 15 degrees of Aries. So Mercury will station direct, and then it's going to be in its shadow period for the rest of the month. So it's going to move back through that area of partnership. So whatever dust got kicked up over the Mercury retrograde, hopefully, some of that dust is starting to not necessarily settle, but maybe gain more momentum towards resolution. Like you're starting to feel like, okay, we can actually start moving forward. And, if there was any fuckery that happened during the retrograde, hopefully you're starting to sort all of that out and it's getting more into the rear view. April 23rd, I guess I kind of jumped ahead to the direct, but before Mercury stations direct on April 23rd, we have a full moon in Scorpio. That full moon is happening at 4 degrees of Scorpio, and that's going to be in the house that represents your financial your relationship to your finances. So material stability, how you're making your money, how you're saving your money, also the way that you reflect on self-worth. That's a huge theme for you during this full moon. And full moons are a time of releasing and letting go of things. And so again, if there's been things happening with the work that you're doing and how you're of service, that Mars is kind of kicking up some of those themes, you might be reflecting a lot on your relationship to how you're making money and whether or not things around that need to shift. Scorpio, energy itself is all about letting go. Then the last kind of major energy shift we're having in terms of planetary movement is Venus moving into Taurus on the 29th. And I'm really excited for Venus in Taurus. This is, your ruler is Venus. Venus also rules Taurus. So it's a positive energy for us. And this is going to be entering that area of the chart that has to do with shared resources, assets, marriage, sex, death, rebirth. Venus really wants to bring harmony to wherever she is. I also have been really failing to talk about Venus moving into Aries. So I skipped over that, but Venus is also moving into Aries at the beginning of April on April 4th. So Venus will be in Aries for the entire month of April until the very end. So, once she moves into Taurus, she's in that home sign. But when she's moving through Aries, she's going to be in Aries while Mercury's retrograde in Aries, which I personally am really grateful for, because I think Venus in Aries is going to kind of help us want resolution, even though Venus is in detriment in Aries, she's your ruler, she rules Libra, so she's opposite of you. I think she is helping us love ourselves and advocate for ourselves and have our own backs, while also knowing that we need to do that in a relational way that's constructive. So when she moves into Taurus, hopefully we can stabilize some of the things that we worked out while she was in Aries. And then, you know, Mercury will be direct during that time as well. April's a hard month. It's hard for all of us, but it's, you know, again, reflect, review, reassess. There's a lot of opportunity for you to work on relationship dynamics and work on how you communicate in your relationship dynamics. And hopefully by May, when we're in, you know, more of this kind of grounded energy of Taurus, we'll be able to kind of stabilize some of the things that we put into motion during the retrograde. All right, Libra, if you have any questions or you liked this video, you can comment, hit like, subscribe. If you want to book a private session with me, feel free to email me, and I will see you guys all in May.